and welcome to the very special episode of NMIMS Indore podcast. I'm your host Anisha Jain, and today we have with us what empowerment means for women and girls in India. Our guest, Anamara Beg, is the CEO of Empower Her Foundation, a non-profit organization which is working passionately to uplift women in rural communities through education, financial inclusion, skill development, and access to essential resources. With over 15 years of experience, Anamara has been at the forefront of this industry, from working in Pratham Education Foundation to now leading as a CEO in Empower Her Foundation. Anamara has been at the forefront of creating opportunities for those who are often left behind. So now, let's dive into her journey and look at the transformative work that Empower Her India is doing for women. We welcome you to the show, ma'am.
Thank you, it's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure to have you here as well. So let's start off with your journey.
Yeah.
We know that you studied political science and international relations, so you could have easily chosen a more comfortable and a conventional path. So what led you to come into this journey and be a part of this social development sector?
I want to tell you that, it was a very thought out decision and, I just wanted to come and change the world, but truly it was not like that at all. It was more like I stumbled upon the social impact space.
Okay.
So I had a sneak peek at what, some sort of help for the people who are marginalized can do. So when I was very young, after my undergrad, I went to South Africa and I was teaching English as a foreign language there. And that's where I was teaching asylum seekers. So, just when you are helping someone learn English so that they can make a better living. So I had that little quick insight into the transformational power of education, of doing something. So that was that. And then I went off to do my masters and so on. After that, it just so happened when I came back to India in 2008, someone reached out and said that, there's this organization and I'm in touch with them and they're looking for a program officer, why don't you go and try and do something? I said, okay, sure, why not? I was happy to try anything new. And I went to Pratham and within a year it was in my veins, I would say. It was an insidious process, but it just took over me and I didn't realize how invested I was in the social impact space just within a year. And then of course I never looked back from there. So, it wasn't a very thought out decision. I'm so grateful that it happened to me and then, I kind of charted my journey from there.
This is quite interesting because usually we hear the same story, but this is very different, so it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So for the listeners who may be new to Empower Her, would you like to introduce, what are you doing and what are the key challenges that you're tackling?
Of course, absolutely. So, Empower Her, the thematic area that we work in is women empowerment. Right? It's a very old organization. There was a gentleman called Mr. Nirbhay Jain, who was the founder of this organization.
Okay.
It's been around for more than 3 decades. More recently, and for a bulk of the time that the organization has been in existence, they have worked with adult women.
Okay.
Right? So financial inclusion, giving out low interest loans, just sort of financial inclusion for rural women, right? That's a huge area for support. When I came on board, this was still a large program. However, I felt that, and this is the framework that most women in India are living in, is that women and girls are an afterthought. It's the structure, it's the patriarchy that we are in. working with women as they become adults is already too late in my mind.
Yeah.
Because of this structure, it is very important to catch them when their sense of self is developing.
Right.
When they are not yet, they have not been jaded by all the different areas where women are at a disadvantage. Anyways, by adolescence, girls already know that they are an afterthought. So, what I thought was that instead of working with adult women, let's start focusing on adolescent girls.
Yeah.
And that is the genesis of our current flagship program that we spend most of our time and resources in, and it's called Setu.
Yes.
Setu meaning bridge. We are bridging the life and the experiences of mostly girls between their childhood and their adulthood.
Wow.
So what exactly do they know? Do they need the skills, the tools, the awareness in order for them to be able to transition into strong adults with agency? So that is what currently Empower Her does with adolescent girls. And in addition to that, we also have a WASH vertical, meaning it's called SAFAL, Sanitation Access Program for Hygiene and Hygiene Learning. So essentially we are building sanitation facilities in government schools for, so like toilets essentially, so that, and in upper primary schools, because that is when girls typically hit puberty and they stop coming to school because they don't have access to sanitation facilities.
Yeah.
So providing that will help more girls stay in school, attend school, and hopefully complete their standard 10, which means the more you delay their education, the better chances of you delaying their marriage, their childbearing, the year they become mothers. So all of that gets delayed because of that. So these are the two core programs for Empower Her.
That is amazing that you are solving the problems from that grassroots level, like not when they are turning into women, but when they are adolescent itself. So that's amazing that you're doing. And I'm sure that you have impacted lives of thousands of women, but would you like to give one example that created a change in, like...
Oh, there are many, but with Setu, it's not only about change, like it's about changing hearts and minds, and that behavior change takes really long, right? So let me give you an example from our sanitation program, because here, because you're giving them an asset, like a fixed asset, like a toilet, you can see immediate impact.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of that. So when I once went to this village, okay, and it was pouring that year, and obviously there was muck all around. It was it's muddy. There's no concrete there and so on. This is in Maharashtra, and I was visiting this village where we had built individual household toilets at that time. Okay, so again, this was completely women focused. I'm talking about a couple of years ago, and it was a hut, and then beside the hut, just close by, there was a one toilet that we built, and it's mostly we did it for women because they don't have to go into the farmland in the dark. And you won't believe, this is the experience of most women in India, and it's shocking that because lack of access to sanitation, they wake up before it gets before sunlight to go and relieve themselves in the farm, in the woods, and then they only go after it's dark in the evening. Because can you believe the amount of, can you understand what kind of impact it can have on their bodies? The fact that, in the dark when they're going, there could be snake attacks, other animals, there are thousands of things, just the indignity of that, right? So this woman that we had made the toilet for the house that we made the toilet for, we asked her, so, like, how are you liking it? And so she said, it's changed my life because before I had it last year, before I had the toilet, I firstly had to couldn't leave my children because they are young, all three of them are under 5 years old. They are my responsibility, so I can't leave them in the house just to relieve myself. So I would have to take them with me, and I didn't know when I went into the woods whether when it's raining whether I should handle my sari or should I handle my umbrella or should I take care of my children and ask them to turn around because I'm relieving myself. And now I don't have to do any of that. My toilet is next to my house. My children I know are safe, and I can go in the middle of the night, I can go in the middle of the day, it doesn't matter. And that has changed my life. So can you believe something so small and something that we don't give a second thought to, you and I, can change a person's life? And this is the experience of so many millions of women across the world today. Well, sorry, not the world, India today. And this is just one story. There are hundreds of stories like that where women have come and said thank you. Like, just this having a toilet has changed my life.
I'm sure there are 1,000 other stories, but it's quite disheartening to hear that still women have to face so many problems, and a thing as basic as getting a toilet, they are struggling with it. So thanks to you that you are doing these things. Apart from women themselves, what do you think maybe men or families or community can have an impact on women empowerment, and how can they make it a little more sustainable?
Actually, women are only part of the problem or part of the solution, 50%.
Yeah.
Right? Men are 50% part of the problem, or maybe more than 50%, and certainly 50% part of the solution. You cannot expect that there to be any movement with respect to women empowerment if you don't take boys and men along.
Definitely.
So, like, I'll give you an example with Setu. What we do is we're talking about life skills, right? Social, emotional learning, cognitive thinking. We have a module in health that we do with the adolescents. So we have menstruation. We have changes during adolescence. Both physical and mental. Then we have a module on gender and safety, where we're talking about safe and unsafe touch, gender-based violence, gender roles, gender bias. All these topics are covered, and then financial literacy. So across these varied topics, we make sure that we're not only working with adolescent girls, we are working with adolescent boys as well. So our primary beneficiary might be the girl, but unless and until boys don't become part of the solution, they will always remain part of the problem, right? Because they are going to grow older, they're going to become teenagers, they're going to become adults, and what we do with them, the kind of values and the inputs that we give them when they are adolescents will shape how they treat their women, so their mothers, their sisters, their wives, and then their daughters. Right? So and also when we are looking at all the violence that is happening around us, unless and until we don't give the right kind of inputs to the boys, the violence is going to continue. Right? The gender roles are going to continue. Women in the house are constantly and going to bear the disproportionate burden of household responsibilities. That's not going to change. Girls are going to be pulled out of school because they have to take care of the younger siblings. Boys are not going to be pulled out. So yeah, I mean, whether it is the parents, whether it's the community members, and particularly boys, they have to become part of the solution. Otherwise, things are not going to change.
Right. So that was really amazing, because unless and until all of us come together, we can't really do anything
Yeah.
about women empowerment. So this brings me to my last segment and my last question. So where do you envision yourself and empower her in the future? And one call to action for all the listeners, that one small step that we can take for empowerment.
Okay. So with our flagship program Setu, which is to do completely with the empowerment of adolescents, we are trying to change the hearts, minds, and behavior of the adolescents, the pre-youth, so to speak, who are essentially the future of our country. So, if that is going to happen, I don't know how many. I think right now, when we talk about adolescents, both boys and girls, there are about 250 million adolescents in the country today, right? In the last 5 years, Empower Her has, to some degree, in very deep ways and in some more short-term touch points, has reached about 1 lakh of children, right? So can you imagine what the scope and the growth is? I mean, it is like how is one organization going to ever be able to even? But the goal for Empower Her and Setu is imparting life skills which will build future adults, right? So the curriculum that we have developed, we know that has a profound impact on how a child perceives themselves and the world around them in a positive manner. And it gets the right skills and tools to be able to navigate life. So how I see the future of Empower Her is working with different state governments and hoping that they in some shape and form will adopt the curriculum that Empower Her has developed, so that once it gets institutionalized in the system, and that's the only way we are going to be able to have that exponential growth and be able to reach out to millions of children. That's the only way to do it. So we hope to build those partnerships in order to be able to create that kind of impact. Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope. And the second question you said was
one call to action for the listeners, that one small step that
Yeah.
we all as listeners
Yeah.
can take towards
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So I think the court, again, this might be unbiased and quite militant about gender roles and gender bias in general. So I would ask everyone viewing this to prioritize and see in what way, whether it is monetary, whether it is time, to be able to somehow contribute in the education of one girl, 2 girls, 10 girls, doesn't matter. Because I truly believe when a girl is educated, she makes sure that her next generation is educated. So it's that multiplier effect. When you're investing in a woman, you're investing in an entire family. That's my true belief. So if anybody is able to prioritize girls' education, I feel you're going to have a huge impact on for time to come.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This conversation was very insightful, and really you have told that how small changes can create a huge impact. So to all the listeners, I'd like to say that one step towards educating women or one step towards women will not change a woman's life. It will change the life of a community and the coming generations. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you
Anuma.
so much.
It was lovely having you here.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.